Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Hope you all are doing great. Welcome to our today's session of Meet the Global Leader. This session is all about inviting professionals, entrepreneurs around the world who are doing things, great things in their field. And we want to actually share those stories with our audience who are mainly university going students. So through them, we would like to know their experiences. We would like to share their insights with our audience who are students, and through that, like information and knowledge sharing session, they actually get to know about implementation of different skills and how they can design their career before graduation and develop some skills and insights and some basic knowledge about the career or entrepreneurial sector they want to explore in their after their graduation. So today we have invited Ms. Shamila Nair, managing partner of Peter Ong and Nair, Malaysia, and CEO of Nair Consulting, Dubai. So before that, we'd like to introduce her. So it is my distinct honor to introduce our esteemed guest speaker for today's webinar. Ms. Nair is a highly regarded legal professional with a remarkable career spanning across Southeast Asia and the Middle East. Currently, she holds the prestigious position of managing partner at Peter Ong and Nair in Malaysia. She is also the CEO of Nair Consulting in Dubai. Her impressive background includes experience with distinguished law firms like Deloitte Legal and Peter Ong Law Corporation in Singapore. She is a multifaceted legal expert with a focus on cross-border and multi-jurisdictional legal matters. Her expertise encompasses a wide range of areas, including corporate, commercial, technology, and climate law. She is particularly recognized for her deep understanding of decarbonization and energy efficiency laws and policies across various regions. And I'm confident that her insights and vast experience will be immensely valuable to all of us today and who is going to watch it later. So please join me in a warm welcome for Ms. Shamila Nair. Ms. Nair, welcome to our session.
Thank you, Mahbub, and thanks for inviting me to this session. I was really looking forward to share with the organization and also your community.
Great.
And,
So,
and thank you for
yeah,
the great introduction.
you're welcome. Um, Can you share about, as you know, students are mainly our audience. So can you share about how was your student life, things that you did when you were a student, and how was your student life and the skills that you developed before graduation? If you take us to that journey, it would be a great insightful information and for this audience.
Sure. There are lots of skills that you need to harness when you are a university student because there are so many commitments as well, especially for myself when I was reading law. We always had multiple assignments that were running at the same time. And in our initial year, we had to also take up courses that were not directly relevant to the legal practice or industry. So, some of the skills that I think are very important to students, such as your community, regardless of whether you're in Bangladesh or in Malaysia or anywhere else, some of them I think are basic skills such as critical thinking that allows you to be a bit more analytical in what you do. That helps decisions when you're a student, and it also is able to assist you in working with on projects with other students from different faculties, which is what we used to have. So student life for me in the university was really fun. I spent a lot of my time with students from the legal faculty as well as students from business and IT faculty among them. So it was a real journey for me. I think I spent at least 8 to 10 hours a day, I would think sometimes, in the university. And that's because of the community and the friends that I've had during those days.
Great. And what actually, sparked your interest in law during your studies at Multimedia University?
Right. Well, there were many reasons to that, but maybe I'll keep to two or three that I can share. I think one is that coming back to what I said earlier about critical thinking, I really enjoy that part of it in the legal studies, because what we do is that we learned how to analyze, we break down issues, we apply logical reasoning to the issues that we face, and in the analysis of the studies that we are undertaking, right? So all of these aspects, aspect to the legal studies, is what really sparked the interest in me. I think it's the idea as well of understanding human behavior, how laws and policies can affect or change human behavior in how they respect the law, and what are the cases that we learn subsequent to that are the most interesting part of it. So that was what really got me interested in studying law in the first place. And once I enrolled into the university program, and I realized we had also many practical aspects of this, it really kept me going. And this is why I'm still in the industry many years later.
Great. So, did your experience in Korean studies at Cheonnam University influence your legal career path in any way?
Yes, absolutely. And I think this was something that maybe I did not really realize at that point until I start looking at it retrospectively. I feel now, today, for example, while you're asking me this question, if I think about what made me decide to be a cross-border lawyer, I really have to trace it all the way back to this exchange program that I did in Korea. And the reason is because when I was there, we had students from across the globe. We had students from Asia. We are talking about the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia. We had students from Hong Kong, United States, even countries like Kazakhstan, Russia, etc. And what was unique was that when all of these students enrolled into the exchange program, I was the only law student in the program, and there's a reason for it. It's because the subjects that we took at that time were not transferable to my legal program, the ones that we had to register for. While it was transferable for all of these other students, and some of them had the opportunity to continue to extend their time because they liked it so much there. And for those who want to continue the studies, they had the option to also finish a year or return for their masters. And it was in that moment that I thought about how transferable and fluid the skills that they are building in their respective careers and fields of studies compared to mine, because generally the legal profession has always been a bit more localized, rigid. Like you, for example, you have to be called to the bar in order to practice law. And I guess I just wanted to go beyond the conventional expectations of how the legal practice should be for me upon graduation. And that's when I decided that, okay, anyway, even if I can't transfer these subjects back to my syllabus in Malaysia, I will still undergo it. I will study on my own and return for the exams. So that was really interesting because it put it into perspective for me of how I really need to start thinking about building a career that allows me to work across or beyond the borders, should I say. And yeah, I think the university experience in Korea was probably the catalyst for it, because it kind of hit me that, okay, if you really want to venture beyond Malaysia, that's something you have to do, and you need to do it differently. Um, so since then, I paid more attention, and I was even more. I had my position reaffirmed, basically, that I want to be a cross-border lawyer because I like how it is to be in different countries, to work with different professionals from around the world. So this particular experience, right, like I mentioned, maybe at that point in time, I didn't really realize how significant it would be for me. But looking back retrospectively, it was probably one of the game changer moments for me to be where I am today.
Yeah, and you mentioned about like uh, people from different countries. So engaging with them during that time, did it help you to broaden your mindset, like to think that cross border, like you want to be, expand your career cross border, and what were the things that helped you shape your mindset by engaging with those multi cultural like peers of yours?
Yes. Okay. But that's a long question, so I'm going to break it down into
Yeah,
two. So the first part of it was, yes, it really changed the way I think. I mean, growing up from a blended, with a blended family, so I have family members that come from different parts of the world as well through the extended family, and it was nothing so new to me per se. I was always exposed to different culture, but being there with all of them, working on projects that we were assigned to, and seeing how they use their cultural background and education system that has taught them to think in a certain way or to react in a certain way was very curious for me. And it is out of the curiosity I started to engage better with this group of students because I wanted to learn from them. And I found that this is exactly the sort of environment that I want to be in. In terms of how it really changed my mind is just by working with them and seeing how diverse we can work to. I mean, how diverse the ideas are whenever we work together. And for me, that's just amazing, and that's quite fascinating that when you've got a team of people coming from different parts of the world looking at one project or one issue, but you have so many different ideas. So this was not really difficult for me to blend in with because of the family background that I have. But I think just by even having friends from different countries, or even within the same country but different cultural background, can really help you in the way you think from a much broader perspective. Whether it's to work on a project, whether it is to approach everyday life problems where one complains about it, but someone from a different culture wouldn't. These are very small details that you may not think about, but they do influence in the way you perceive um, these issues in your everyday life and how you tackle them. So it did really change my mindset. I think there was a
different.
second part of your question. In case I missed that, let me know.
No, yeah, yeah, no, you have covered it well. Because like there are so many opportunities nowadays for the students who are at the universities, part-time internship or volunteering activities. It doesn't matter where they're, anywhere in the world. So they can actually like do this kind of exchange program or volunteering activities, so that their mindset can also get broadened. It is important to like engage with people around the world.
Yes,
uh,
yes.
so
And
this is
and
just to
yeah.
yeah.
And if I may add, right, this is
Yeah,
becoming increasingly important because today businesses are moving towards a regional goal. I mean, towards regional goals. Many of the ways that they try to improve the growth of the business entails growing within the region, beyond the region. And they are preaching a lot for diversity today. So you will be working with people from different backgrounds. You will be exposed to what's beyond your zone. You will be required to know beyond what's happening in your country as well. And that is why it's really important for them to have this sort of engagement to polish their skills, so that when they are out there in the workforce, these skills would be very relevant and they're ready to take action based on what they have within them.
definitely. So how your traineeship at Jayed Ibrahim and Kong actually the skills by being a trainee there. What are
Mm.
some of the most valuable skills you gained from your experience?
Right, that's a really good question because when I was in Zaid Ibrahim and Co, I was still in my very early stage of the legal career. I was there to undergo my pupillage program, which should run for 9 months, and I was there for a few months. That was part one of my pupillage program. So I wouldn't focus too much on the legal skills that I have learned while I was there. But what really stuck with me, and I would say some of the key takeaways working with them, was a lot got to do with the organizational skills that I built and that I was able to polish up while I was there. It was about how do you conduct effective team meetings? How do you support your team for litigation cases that you had to undertake, or projects in general, because we also had group presentations within the firm that we had to present and prepare for. So how do you work within a team? How should the reporting channel be? And it was, I would say, a lot of coaching on soft skills, and those were the ones that really stuck with me during my time with Zaid Ibrahim.
Great. Tell us about the journey of Peter Ong and Nair Nair Consulting. Um, what actually made you decide, starting your own venture, and also what it works with, also the impact your organization is creating. If you give some shade on that.
Sure, happy to share. Again, I will break this down to a digestible manner given the time we have as well. Yeah, so I wanted to start up this firm initially because of the clients that we had back in Singapore. When I was in Singapore, we were assisting clients, and I was a foreign registered lawyer there. So we did assist them with also Malaysian matters. So the thing is that many of these clients had issues that had to be resolved in Singapore and Malaysia. So it only made sense, and I thought, like, how can we assist them in a smoother manner where they don't have to go through the transfer of files, rehashing of instructions that were provided to their previous counsel. So with that in mind, and few other factors that I will touch upon as well, I decided that, okay, maybe starting a firm in Malaysia would be a great idea because we get to introduce a smoother transition of file, and once we complete the matter in Singapore, when further actions are required in Malaysia, we are able to do that seamlessly without having to introduce more stress in a way to the clients because they don't have to rehash their instructions. There is no additional documents that they will have to provide us, which typically happens if you instruct your your new counsel. So that was one of the reasons. Few other reasons are, like, I would say my priority at that time was also to work for a firm that was digitally transformed. And I was so used to working in Singapore only with a laptop, barely printed any papers, only where it was absolutely necessary. So when I thought about going back to Malaysia and setting up a firm there, one of the key considerations was also about working with a more digitalized system. And I had to picture myself working with law firms in Malaysia, whether it's something that I'm comfortable with. And many great firms in Malaysia are doing that and have done so. But at that time, with many other goals that I was looking at and the alignment of interest that I had at that time, I thought it was great to set up the firm, and that way I can set up also a firm that works almost 100% digitally. So those were some of the priorities on top of course, I'm not going to lie, I love the flexibility. I like to, as much as I love to spend my time to develop further interests and assisting clients within the legal industry, I have lots of interests as well that's outside of work. And to be able to do those, sometimes I prefer doing them in the daytime and not past office hours. And with that in mind, I thought, okay, having a law firm of my own can also allow me to introduce more flexible policies with the team that I'll be working with. And that flexibility is also extended to myself. So, with these few considerations in mind at that time, I decided to establish the firm. And we are working in the same way still, almost 100% digitally. Our team members are working, they have the option to work remotely or in the office, but we are really flexible about that. All they need is just a computer because we work with technologies that are incorporated into our system, so it's easy for everybody. So that's that in setting up the firm, and in terms of what we wish to do is, of course, to grow the firm to where we are recognized regionally for our contribution in cross-border work. And that was one of the priority as well for us in setting up the firm, that we wanted to have a focus on cross-border work. And I'm glad to say that it seems to be the case right now for us, because most of our clients are in fact either based abroad or in Malaysia, but requiring some form of cross-border assistance.
Great. Like through your work, so what are the challenges that you have faced so far? Like setting up on venture and working with people. So if you share some of the key challenges that you faced and how you overcome those challenges, it would be helpful for those who want
Yes.
to be entrepreneur.
Yeah, especially for those who are inclining towards the entrepreneur side of things, right? You will be thrown lots of challenges, and I was in that position. I still am in that position on some days, because there's just too many things we want to do, and we've only got two hands and 24 hours. Thanks to technology, we are able to increase the efficiency and productivity, and that way we achieve more of our goals within a shorter time. But some of the challenges, I think, for especially for entrepreneurs who are not fully equipped with a diverse skill set, it's going to be really difficult, because you will need to have some level of financial understanding for the business to ensure you make sound decision for the business. You need to also have tech skills today, because you need to, for example, understand how does your digital marketing work, how would your website interact with the public, how do you schedule all your postings, besides the technical expertise of your work per se. um, the biggest challenge is always to manage and to run the business to ensure it goes up in on a steady record, or if you can just spike it up, that would be even better. But in general, there will be many obstacles in terms of time management, because you will have lots of things to do in a day building the business, and you will need to have diverse skill sets. So what you can do to overcome this, or to manage the challenges at least, is to learn, and to learn skill sets that are beyond your technical skills of the industry you're in. For example, I had to learn how to build a website, how to maintain a website, until we had a team member that came in to take this on. But you also need, at the end of the day, to know what happens at the back. Because if you don't know what happens in your business, it's going to be much harder to regulate, to control. Not because you want to control them, but so you have a great understanding of what's happening within the business, and you can make the right decisions at the right time. So what I do for myself is that I obviously polish up my legal skills, because we are growing as a firm, and we are trying to zoom into certain practice areas as well. And when we choose to focus in these practice areas, we have to be extremely skilled in them. And on the business aspect, always build your financial knowledge, always build your soft skills, because you're going to need to network with many people. You need to be able to talk about your business, you need to be able to introduce yourself, and you need to be able to highlight what your business is trying to achieve to the partners that you want to work with. So all of these put together, these are some of the things that I can share with your community and the audience out there. Yeah, continue learning, invest in your soft skills, and don't forget time management and lots of skill sets beyond your technical industry.
Great. And yeah, continuous learning is important, like
Yes, absolutely.
sometimes people think, oh, I've started my venture or I'm in professional sector, so that is it. I'm done now. I just have to go to office or maybe like take care of my business, stuff like that. But the world is evolving, it is changing. If we are not up to date with the like the upcoming skills,
True.
if you don't update ourselves in whatever place we are, a student, professional, entrepreneur, investor, we have to adapt and
Correct.
keep up with this kind of hunger for knowledge. And like always we need to continuous learning. And for students, it is this should be the prime responsibility, like number one responsibility to keep learning and gaining knowledge and developing skills, stuff like that. So like in most cases, university students, they find it mostly difficult to find a mentor. So can you
Yes.
share like for in terms of the importance of having a mentor
Yeah.
for entrepreneur and for students as well, in both perspective?
Sure, and that's a really good question because it is true that many students are always in search for the right mentor. But what I will first suggest is that as a student, before you go searching for a mentor, always ask yourself what is the purpose of this mentor in my career development? Whether it's something that is that's connected to your area of study, or whether it's certain skills that you want to develop on the side. Because sometimes when you search for a mentor, there could be a mismatch in the objectives between the mentor and yourself, and the skills that you are hoping to receive or to be taught by the mentor. So first you need to ask yourself, because I have personally also been a mentor to university students, and I have also been on the other side, by requesting mentors to if they're agreeing to mentor me. But what I realized from those experiences is that I also have to understand whether the students are really requiring me to mentor them in the areas they want to enhance their skills. For example, if the student comes to me saying, "Hey, I want to be mentored in, for example, setting up a business, or I just want general guidance on mediation," the question is then, is that something that aligns with what I am focusing on before I decide to mentor? Because the perspective that I will be giving you could be irrelevant if our interests and ideas don't align. But always search out for mentors, and I think the easiest way you can do that today is by going on LinkedIn. Because with LinkedIn, you have really good descriptions of professionals that are written on their profile. You see them posting, you understand the conversations that they're engaged in. You will know them better beyond reading their description on the website of a particular company. And don't search only for mentors where you think that, okay, they seem to have a great following, they seem to be really experienced in the area. Check again. By Once again, I'm going to tell you to look at LinkedIn and look at how frequent they are posting, what sort of content they are putting up there. Lean towards mentors who are interested in teaching you, and mentors who have the time to invest in you. Because sometimes, as much as they really love to guide students, what is missing is also the flexibility of matching your timing of whenever you have a semester break or after classes that you need to touch base with them, but they're really busy professionals. It can't be avoided. So always search for your mentor by looking at, yes, one, the areas that they are working in, the time that they are able to invest in you, and also for mentors who are looking at helping students you need to also consider whether you will provide them with a fair amount of time for the mentorship to be successful. So that's what I can share. And I think always
Yeah,
try anyway. Yeah, always write to them. And if they say yes, why not? You can give it 1 month or 2 months a try. And if it doesn't work out, search for a different mentor.
absolutely. And the very important point that you've shared, that sometimes a mentor who has followers, they're not supposed. This is not the only criteria to select mentors. So
Absolutely. It's not the
to
only
look, yeah,
criteria.
to look for like LinkedIn and associations of that person uh, will help
Yes.
them to like identify a good mentor. Um,
Yeah. One more thing to add, just
sure.
to
No,
interrupt you
sure.
there. Yeah, the other pointer that they can look at is also looking for mentors that are involved in non-profit scene and the community, because you know that these people are there to contribute back to the community. So that I think would already assist you in filtering out the number of choices you have, or the short list that you are working on, to identify exactly who these mentors could be for you. So yeah, their engagement in the community work is very important as a sign that they will be open as well to mentor you.
Definitely. Um, Being nominated for Young Lawyer of the Year is a prestigious achievement. What qualities do you believe are essential for young lawyers to cultivate? And before that, can you share the story of your nomination uh, for Young Lawyer of the Year? How was it, and why did you get nominated for that?
Yes. Well, the nomination was really a surprise in a way, because I thought that, okay, there are many lawyers in Malaysia. Anyway, I put up my submissions, and we gave them all the necessary details for consideration. And I was very pleased, honored, and humbled by the nomination. A bit of the story is that I guess this is also my first nomination with ALB, so it was for me a big deal. And what it does for me and my firm is that it gives the right recognition. And I think that when you have done so much work, besides obtaining the fulfillment of achieving the results that you want in your work, just that icing on the top, being recognized by these sort of organizations that are known worldwide for their rankings, is really the cherry on the top, because you finally feel like, hey, you know what, all of these hours that went towards my work, all the dedication that was put in to achieve these results for your clients and for the firm are now recognized, and it's a nice payback in a way. But what it also does is that it puts you in a position where you now have to be accountable for these nominations that you have, and you need to, when I say accountable, I mean that you have to keep up to the level of work that you're doing. It keeps you competitive in the market. But yes, I think in short, it was really something that, even though it came as a surprise, was really ideal for the firm and for myself at that time, considering the push that we are also doing right now to focus in certain areas of law. And the two awards that we had was the nominees, the nomination was for Women Lawyer of the Year and Young Lawyer of the Year. And it's something that we really wanted to push for, because we are also invested in changing the way young lawyers work. That is why we have the firm and the digitalized way of working, and also new areas of law that we are focusing on. So all of these in the end ties back to all the effort that myself and the firm and the whole team, the other partners as well, have been putting in to drive the firm in this direction. So it has been great since.
Great, great. So, what is with your experience in both Southeast Asia and the Middle East? What are some emerging legal trends you see in these regions?
Right. I think that's a good question. And the answer to that is going to be quite applicable to both these regions because both the Southeast Asia region and the Middle East region are to certain countries or corporations considered as emerging countries in the legal framework, particularly for new areas such as technology and sustainability. So these again are the two areas which I see that will continue to be developed. The legal trend is really moving towards technology. For example, in Malaysia, we are moving towards a digital economy. And with that, we had the cyber security bill that was passed this year. So that is something that we are seeing, and it's moving really fast right now because the country and the legal governance has to keep up with the technologies that we are seeing today that affects consumers who are most of the time. For example, now I just went to a recent summit which was focused on fintech and e-commerce, and e-commerce is taking place every day. And Malaysia, we do have laws for that, but in terms of cyber security, protection of data, protection of privacy, we do have a lot of work to do. And these are the trends that we are going to see in the next few years of how we are going to reform the laws in these areas. And the second one I would think is that's really huge is also on sustainability. And the Middle East, for example, has made 2024 another year of sustainability. So they had this last year and they realized that it is helping the country a lot. It is also bringing in further investors. It is building the market within the scene here in Dubai, especially, and also Sharjah. And therefore, they decided that, okay, we make 2024 year of sustainability again. And what this means is that lots of businesses will be investing in also their policy development and in technologies that can help achieve this. So in terms of the legal framework of it, we will see further development in these two regions in how the laws will be amended, will be drafted, will be passed to protect all stakeholders that are involved in these areas. I hope
Great.
that
So,
answers your question.
yeah, and like the digital transformation and the advanced technological implementations, students they should like acquaint themselves with these upcoming trends, and, things they should know when they will be graduated. This is important actually for them as well to see what is coming, because like it is going to help them adapt with that situation scenarios and
Yes.
updated
Yes.
skills they should have.
Correct.
And
Especially the skills that they have to start learning or polishing them
yeah,
up right now. And I think that today many students are quite digitally informed and skilled, but they just have to make sure they've got the right skills for the job market that's going to be in the next 4 or 5 years.
absolutely, that is true. And like you were president of the Malaysian Association of in Singapore. So how do you
Yes.
find a balance between professional and community work? And what is your motivation to involve yourself with community work apart from your professional career?
Oh, yeah, I'm happy to talk about this. And I think the first step to being involved in the community while practicing law and also managing a business is time management. And you need to have really good time management to be able to prioritize the community or the association that you're working with. And for me, I really was enjoying my time with the Malaysian Association, but yeah, it did take up quite a bit of my personal time as well. But what I did, for example, was I got my friends and my family members as well as my partner involved in these initiatives, and that way I look at it as added value for all of us who are involved, and it was also allowing me to spend quality time doing important work and projects for the community with my family and friends. And but yeah, ultimately I think time management is the most important for you to be able to segregate your professional responsibilities and your community or societal responsibilities. And I think the next part of your question was how I manage. I need to
Yeah,
get back to you
okay,
on
okay. So find a balance,
the balance. Yes,
yeah.
that is time management. Yeah, and I think there was another part of it that you were asking me. I think it was
No,
beside
what is the motivation? So
the
basically,
motivation, right?
when we, yeah, when you are in professional sector, it's like we keep working and we feel burnout. But
True, true,
what,
absolutely.
like, what is your motivation behind it?
I think it's just paying it forward because while I was in university, I was on full scholarship, and I take that as society's way of paying it forward to me. So when I graduated, I've always encouraged myself to be part of different communities so we can contribute back to these communities. And with the Malaysian Association, for example, I was able to utilize my legal knowledge to help many of the members who required assistance, especially with the cross-border investments that they have and cross-border personal arrangements and issues as well that could come, that could arise. So that was, in a way, my contribution to them, and taking the time, of course, in to promote the culture of my country in Singapore, because even if the culture is pretty similar, I would say. I mean, the demographic is pretty much the same, so it wasn't really a challenge to, and there wasn't really a strong need to promote the understanding of our culture or to educate about our culture, but it was a lot on bringing fellow Malaysians all together to remind them of the values that we grew up with in our country. And I think the networking that you get from all of that and the familiarity of meeting more Malaysians and doing these favors for them, hosting events together where we get to celebrate celebrations that used to be celebrated back at home. All of this was really form a big part of the motivation for me to stay on in the association. And in fact, I was in the association for about, I think, 6 years, till I eventually became president. But I started as a committee member just with the idea of wanting to give my time to the Malaysians as well. And while we were there, we did help them during COVID. And I'm thankful that we had this many people who were part of the association where we could help affected Malaysians who were trapped in Singapore and they weren't able to afford accommodation or food to sustain their cost of living while the borders were shut. And that is when I truly saw again the value of the community, of us sticking together. And I guess like with all of these together, the community aspect of it and the spirit of achieving something for the larger good is what motivated me.
Great. And we always should, if there is a time, because in today's world it is not necessary that you have to go in person, like you have to invest much of your time. But like this thing, you can share your expertise, your insights, and sitting at your home you can volunteer and support local or international community in so many ways. So that is great. So as we are almost at the end of our session, so uh, can you share some advice to university students interested in pursuing a career in international commerce, and some key skills they must develop before graduation if they want to pursue professional or entrepreneurial career?
Sure, happy to share. I think again, one of the main advice I would give to students, university students, is to always build skills beyond the field of study that you're in, because you don't know where life is going to take you. You don't know at what point you would decide to be an entrepreneur if you want to. And sometimes when you get out to the workforce, you don't really know what sort of job you will be offered, and it may not be reflecting everything that you have studied, or it may not even reflect the majority of what you've studied. And so you need to be prepared to adapt to these changes of the realities in the working world. And to do that, the best way you can future-proof your career is to develop and enhance other forms of various skill set that, for example, it goes to that is including your soft skills, your other technical skills in emerging areas such as technology, develop few further understand and also educate yourself of the current issues that are happening in the world today, because this is going to be very important for you to engage with the larger community out there. So these are some of the skills that I think you can really focus on and keep an open mind. Don't have this mentality where you think that, okay, upon graduating I need to get into this career or this list of companies. No, it doesn't have to work out that way. Always keep an open mind. You really have no idea what are the possibilities out there for you, and be prepared to be flexible.
Absolutely amazing. And it's again, if we want to like keep ourselves updated with the global village, the outer countries, we have to like keep learning, like keep focusing on the updated things that are coming. And for that we have to again study, we have to learn, we have to connect with the community who are like-minded. And like not only Bangladesh, this is not the only country, there are other people out there. We
Yes,
should broaden, students should broaden their mindset so that they can act locally but impact globally. So
absolutely. Yes. And right now we have the computer with us. You can reach out to anywhere in the
anywhere,
world, anywhere. So you have all of these resources at your disposal. It's how you're going to choose to use these resources that will make a
absolutely,
huge difference. Yeah.
definitely. Thank you, Ms. Shamila,
Thank
for
you very
this
much.
your wonderful time. In brief, as our time is limited, but wanted to know your insights, your lessons, and some advice that you have shared, that you have seen through your experiences and from your student life. We try to give like a snapshot of student life and the career paths and lessons, so that students they can actually get aware about their career designing process, how to develop themselves and prepare themselves for their after graduation life. So these insights actually help them. And on behalf of School of Entrepreneurship Development, we would like to share our sincere gratitude that out of your busy time you have allocated some time for
Thank you so
inspire
much as
and
well for making
empower
time.
students, like with insights and information. And we wish you very best of luck.
Thank you so much, Mabuk, for having me. I had a great time chatting with you. And again, we look forward as well to connecting with students out there. If anyone
Definitely.
part of your community would like some encouragement or tips on how they can pursue the entrepreneurial journey, or also in the legal industry, feel free to reach out. We're always happy to share some insights, and we are always focused on paying it forward to students and professionals likewise.
Definitely. Thank you so much. We believe that our audience who have watched this session and going to watch later on the insights and some advice that our speaker shared with us, it is going to actually equip them with a guideline for designing their career and making themselves, preparing themselves for future. Keeping that note, thank you so much again, and we wish you very
Thank you
best of
so
luck.
much, Mahbub, and have a
Have
great
a
evening. Have a fantastic
thank you.
weekend.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.